For the first time ever, we are set here on the Big Ten Network to bring you the Oregon State rivalry from Autzen Stadium in Eugene. Kickoff just over 30 minutes away right here on the Big Ten Network. And we'll get you ready for that game here on Countdown to Kickoff, presented by Ace Hardware. Rick Pizzo, Jared DiNardo alongside. It is an historic day here on the Big Ten Network. Not only getting to see this rivalry, but Oregon back on the Big Ten Network, a top 10 team trying to defend that Big Ten championship. It's a unique day inside the Big Ten as we take a look at the big board. Coming up next, it is Oregon and Oregon State. But we take you first on the field, presented by Ace Hardware, and the Duck QB, Dante Moore. Jerry, he has slid right in to that space left by Dylan Gabriel, and there has not been much let up.
He has been great. He's from King High School in Detroit, Rick, and if you ever recruited, you have gone to King. Recruiting rankings aren't always right. He's a 5-star. He has deserved every one of those stars. So far, he is completing 78% of his passes. His future is ceilingless.
He did bide his time, of course, came from UCLA last year, sat behind Gabriel, and watched his predecessor become a Heisman Trophy finalist. All right, let's move to the game that comes up next, the game that comes up on the Big Ten Network. It's Oregon State. Yes, it's 3-0 Oregon against 0-3 Oregon State, but it's a 3-0 top 10 Oregon team that Dan Lanning admittedly was not very happy with after the win at Northwestern last weekend. Another way for Lanning to motivate his football team.
Yeah, as we know, Dan Lanning is a great motivator, and he started motivating his team for this game today, walking off the field at Northwestern, saying, yes, we won the game, we lost the fourth quarter, we have to play better. Some people think, is Oregon looking ahead to Penn State? I say just the opposite. Dan Lanning has them looking back to Northwestern, saying that we have to play better than we played against Northwestern to beat Oregon State, knowing that that's very doable, and they'll be on the rise when they do go and play Penn State in the whiteout.
He didn't just say it on Saturday after the game. Even at his weekly press conference on Monday, he reiterated how disappointed he was, especially with the way his team finished that Northwestern game. I would expect Oregon to come out fired up with that, and of course the rival from in-state on the other sideline as well. And that game comes up here on the Big Ten Network in just over 25 minutes. It means so much to everybody on both sidelines. Noah Whittington has 159 yards and a couple of touchdowns so far this season. You know he would love to find the paint a couple of more times with the Beavs in town this afternoon. Moments away from taking you to Autzen, one of the great places to watch college football from coast to coast. Kenyon Barner there in a couple of different roles. He's a fan. He's an alum. He's a fan favorite, but he's also a Big Ten Network football analyst on this day. He's standing by pregame with Brooke Fletcher.
Thanks so much, Rick. Kenyon, there's so many bright spots for this team, but Dante Moore being one of them. He's getting a lot of the headlines, but a quarterback is only as good as the weapons around him. This backfield, the depth, how can they use that versatility? What are you seeing from them right now to their advantage?
The same way that they're using it now. They have a 7-man rotation at the running back. It's unheard of. This is by far the deepest running back group that this university has seen. But when you have a guy like Noah, when you have a guy like Jaden, you have the young guys, Dier and Jordan, Jay Harris, it's absolutely incredible to be able to have this at your hands, and Will Stein is doing a great job of utilizing all these guys.
Well, a real leader for that running back room is Noah Whittington. He is going to be questionable. We'll see if he is good to go here. But rivalry games like this, it's all won in the trenches. The defensive line, how would you define success for that group?
Listen, we got to get after quarterback. That's the number one thing. Games are won and lost in the trenches, but not only that, this defense has to be able to stop the run. That's something that we've kind of seen throughout the season. It's kind of been a little bit of a struggle. If this team can adapt and learn and grow and learn to stop the run, this team is going to be dangerous.
And they're going up against a dangerous quarterback in Malik Murphy. Dan Lanning told me his arm, that can be a problem for this group. It's going to be a huge issue for the Oregon defense if they can't stop that. But you've played in this rivalry game. What is your favorite moment from this game?
Listen, there's been so many. Oddly enough, this game has decided multiple seasons for us as a Duck program, whether it was the 2011 game going to the national championship, winning that game out at Reser, or the game here at Autzen in 2009, the War of the Roses. That game in itself is by far my greatest and fondest memory. And that memory would be all of these people in the stands rushing the field. That was my first time being a part of a stadium rushing the field. That by far, that memory will last a lifetime. I'll never forget it. I can literally feel the emotions of it right now in this moment.
I mean, you talk about the emotions. How would you describe the pressure that some of these guys are feeling right now as we gear up for kickoff?
Listen, if they're anything like we were, pressure is what you feel when you don't know what you're doing. But when you know what you're doing, you don't feel pressure. Knowing Coach Lanning, knowing his coaching staff, there's no pressure. These guys know exactly what to do. They know how this game is going to go. They've already played it out in their mind. We've seen it time and time again with Coach Lanning and his team. So I don't think there's any pressure. Just go out and play football. It doesn't change.
All right, we're getting closer to kickoff here at Autzen Stadium. Kenyon, we appreciate you taking the time. Guys, back to you.
Brooke, Kenyon, thank you. This is the 129th all-time meeting between the Ducks and the Beavers. Oregon, a monster favorite. 7th straight year the Ducks are ranked in this matchup, and they are expected to win this one by as large a margin as we've seen in recent years. Oregon State in total rebuild mode. But, Jerry, that doesn't really matter when you get into these type of situations because it is a rivalry game. What is it about these rivalries, especially these in-state rivalries, that seem to make them so much closer than the paper says they should be?
Yeah, as a coaching staff, you have to address them as a rivalry. You know, you look at the Big Ten teams. If you have a non-con rival like Oregon, Oregon State, USC, Notre Dame, Iowa, Iowa State, that's like playing 10 conference games because they're really good opponents. In this particular case, Oregon has the most talent. If Dan Lanning doesn't have his group ready, the emotional edge that an Oregon State can have closes the gap of the talent. If you have a flat, talented team and a highly emotional underdog, this is why upsets happen in rival games. So Dan Lanning knows that. So last week he set the stage coming off the field of Northwestern. He's going to get his results today, and then they won't even have their shoes off after this game if they win, and they'll be thinking about Penn State and the whiteout.
What about the next game with Penn State and that whiteout? It is human nature to start to look ahead to a matchup of that magnitude.
Unless there's a reason not to look at. Look ahead. What was the reason? We didn't play good against Northwestern. That's the reason we don't look ahead. Now, like I said, the shoes won't be off, and they'll be thinking about it if they win the game.
And you know that Dan Lanning will have his team ready, not just for Penn State. He is going to find ways to motivate. We started the show talking about his motivational tactics. We may not know what they are for this game until after this game, but trust me, he's got something up his sleeve, and whatever he's been doing as of late since arriving in Eugene, it has been working for the likes of guys like Bryce Betcher and company. Such a good football player and really kind of the heartbeat of that Oregon defense with 17 tackles already this season to lead the Ducks.
Led by their head coach, Dan Lanning. Dante Moore looks like he's going to be the next elite quarterback in our sport. Fires! Touchdown! Kenyon Sadiq! Lamar carries. Bounces to the outside, to the corner. Lamar to the house. This Ducks team is for real.
You're looking at one of the biggest home field advantages in all of college football. And if you look from high in the stands at Autzen, one of the best backdrops in the entire country. Everything has worked well for Dan Lanning since he arrived in Eugene, heading into this matchup against Oregon State. Here he is pregame with Brooke Fletcher.
Coach, this game carries a lot of weight in this state. How do you hope your guys show that on the field today?
Yeah, I'm excited for them to get out there and work. These guys have had a great work week. This game means a lot to them, so I'm ready for them to show that.
You mentioned after the Northwestern game, you guys didn't have that killer instinct down the stretch. What was an emphasis this week just to make sure that changes today?
Yeah, win the trenches and play to our standard. If you touch the field, you're a starter for us. We want to see you perform to a certain level.
When you look at a quarterback like Malik Murphy, what sort of challenges could he present for your defense?
He's got a strong arm, right? He can make big throws. He's been in big games, so it's a fun challenge for us to go against a guy like Malik.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Should be a fun day. Hey, everything's fun when the Duck is involved. Let's get a little bit more pregame flavor as we take you on the field inside Autzen and join the Oregon Band. And as the band continues, Jerry DiNardo, you've coached inside Autzen. Not exactly an easy place to bring your team.
No, and it's even more difficult now. We lost there 21-7 when I was an assistant coach. We won the game when I was a head coach. And that was back in the day when it was a tough place to play, but I think the intensity has increased tenfold since then.
When you're an assistant at Colorado and a head coach at
Indiana.
1-1 at Autzen. Hey, that's a better record than most coaches have when they go to Eugene. It is time for us, as we do every week, to invoke that great 80s hair rock band, Europe, and bring you the final countdown. And we focus on the man under center for Oregon. I know they're so talented offensively. They have playmakers on the outside, one of the best tight ends in the country in Kenyon Sadiq, and a deep running back room. But it goes down to Dante Moore and his play, especially as he follows in the footsteps of Heisman finalist Dylan Gabriel.
And I think following in the footsteps with Dylan Gabriel is part of the reason for his success. You have to remember, he transferred from UCLA after his freshman year, or during his freshman year. And I say all that to say he seems so mature. Every interview, he doesn't get flustered. He takes his time. I think the growth of sitting behind Gabriel really helped him.
And I think he is surrounded by guys like Bryce Betcher, like Uyunglele, guys who have had success and understand exactly the culture that Dan Lanning has brought in and built since the day he arrived in Eugene.
Right, and having said all that, he can take over a game. I mean, he is a generational talent, and he can really do it all. There's no doubt, because of the way he presents himself, that he will continue to improve. It'll never be good enough for him, just like it won't be good enough for Dan Lanning.
That's the point that I was going to make. It's good if that's your mindset, because you know that that is your head coach's mindset. As we heard after the Northwestern game, expect Oregon to come out with their hair on fire, green and yellow. Today against Oregon State, we are excited to bring you this game for the first time ever. For Jerry DiNardo, I'm Rick Pizzo. Jeff Levering, Jake Butt, and Brooke Fletcher have the call from Eugene.
It's the biggest sports day of the year in the state of Oregon. Two schools separated by just 47 miles. This is the 129th edition of Oregon and Oregon State. Everybody's favorite mascot. Here comes the duck. I got 4 words for you today. Keep your head down.
Seems dangerous.
We've seen that waddle before. It's Oregon and Oregon State from Autzen Stadium, number 6 team in the country. Oregon and Oregon State looking for their first win of the season. Series that started in 1894. There are no love lost between these two schools.
The Ducks and the Beavers will tee it up again today in one of football's great rivalries.
A rivalry that goes back a long way.
This is why you play the game, rivalry games just like this.
The energy in the air means a little extra to us.
It's all personal. It means the world.
We're 2 elite programs in the same state, going at it back to back.
It's not even just one day, it's bragging rights for the rest of the year and for the rest of the time. I'm rushing the field. That's ingrained in us, and it's not going to happen again.
What an honor it is to bring you Oregon and Oregon State for the first time ever on the Big Ten Network. A series that has been played every single year since 1945. It's the longest in-state rivalry in the FBS. And the Ducks are ready to charge towards Autzen. The grills have been fired up. Tailgates have been going all morning long. And what is the biggest sports day of the year in Oregon? The Ducks have dominated this series for the last few years, but there have been plenty of upsets over the course of this storied rivalry. And every player that's on the field, every fan that's in the stands knows what this is all about. Chopper leading the way for the Oregon Ducks. Ducks, their final non-conference game of the year, got their first conference victory last week in Chicago against Northwestern. Got their bitter rival, the Beavers of Oregon State, on their plate today. Great atmosphere here at Autzen Stadium and getting you set for one of the longest rivalries in college football.